Thank you, and welcome to the opening plenary of the 13th APACT meeting. This APACT is certainly very different from any that has gone before, and many congratulations to Professor Ronnachai and his entire team for making it happen. Professor Ronnachai is a consultant psychiatrist at the Ramasubodhi Hospital in Bangkok. He's also a lecturer in the Faculty of Medicine at Mahidol University in Bangkok, and immediate past president of the Medical Association of Thailand. He's been involved with tobacco control for many years. He's the director of Tobacco Control Research and Knowledge Management Center. He's the chairman of the Thai Health Promotion Foundation, and very importantly for this conference, he's the chairman of APACT 2020, responsible for putting on APACT 13 under the most difficult circumstances imaginable. So let us welcome Professor Ronnachai, who will deliver the Medical Association of Thailand Centenary Plenary Session Lecture entitled Past, Present and Future of Tobacco Control in Thailand and Beyond. Dr. Ronnachai.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very honored to be the speakers on the topics of past, present, future of tobacco control in Thailand and beyond. With the APACT 30th 2021 happened in Bangkok, I myself as the chairman of the APACT 30th would like to give my sincere welcome all of you to the 30th APACT in Bangkok. Thailand is one of the world's favorite destinations, as the organizing committee permit me to have this event occur in Bangkok. We have warm tropical climates, outstanding beach and cool mountains, and rich forests, World Heritage sites, and we have, fascinating culture, a ruling Thai cuisine, and inimitable Thai hospitality. But I would like to say, I'm sorry. I could not be the good host to host you all because we have the problem of the COVID-19 and we work very seriously in Bangkok. We have third wave, we have fourth wave, so I cannot give you our Thai good hospitality. Even though I would like to give my welcome message to all of you, and my staging statement is for Asia Pacific e-cigarette-free society. It's my very big expectation. Tobacco, as everyone know, is a plant. Botanical name is Nicotina tabacum, and main alkaloid is nicotine. Why people use it? I'm a psychiatrist, So, in my impression, people usually smoke for pleasure to satisfy nicotine addiction. This is the addictive substance, and for social purpose, and it's a rituals. And also maybe someone uses it for the self-medication. I have so many, psychiatric patients that use, smoking. It's a comorbidity for relieve their symptoms. So maybe used for the medication. But the big question, do you like to convert these beautiful plants into dead stick? No. Now, we have a very, evidence base to show us this is a serious, plant if we use it for smoking. The study that helped spur the U.S. stop smoking movement in 1950 turning point. In 1964, report of Surgeon General's report on smoking and health in the United States of America has led to the implementation of many interventions to control tobacco. You see from this picture. Dr. Deloy Edgar Burney organized a group of scientists to apply 18 studies on smoking and health to prove that there was a link between cigarette smoking and lung cancer. from that point, it turned out to be worldwide, to notice that this death stick is a big health issue. You can see that Asia, we have the year to start for anti-tobacco activities. And also America, Europe, Oceania, and Africa, all over the world. Because we have so many evidence to show us the leading preventable cause of death in the world is tobacco. Because tobacco is a risk factor for the 6 of the 8 leading causes of death in the world. You have seen on the chart. Ischemic heart disease, cerebrovascular, a lot. And you can see that from the world map. You can recognize that this area is a high death rate from smoking. So, Asia Pacific Conference on Tobacco Health is quite a good organization to deal with this problem. And also, I would like to give you our Thai data. In 2014, Thailand have run a good study that can show us that the mortality attributable to risk factor, tobacco is number 1. Tobacco is the number 1 attributed to risk factor for death in Thailand. So we can see that a lot of activities from the World Health Organization to give us the message how we can deal with this, hazardous substance addiction, smoking. World Health Organization give the FCTC, the Visual Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, and give us the name of the Empower, how to have the measure to do it, and also so much activity as you have seen. Tobacco threats us have the Tobacco Day, World No Tobacco Days, and also this, pandemic. The visual also give us, the warning that tobacco can be, associated with the severity of COVID-19. So this is the Empower, monitor tobacco use, protect people from tobacco smoke, offer help to quit, warn about the dangers of tobacco, enforce bans on tobacco advertising, and lastly, raise tax on tobacco. So smoking is a risk factor. NCD have become a critical public health issue for Thailand now, also all over the world. Deaths from the NCDs account about 74% of the total 539 deaths, 1,000 deaths in Thailand in 2016, and are predicted to continue to increase rapidly. Tobacco use is an important modifiable risk factor, so we need try to state out that smoking is the first leading risk factor for even death and disability in Thailand. So, this topic give me to start with the past tobacco control activity in Thailand to all of you. I'll show you. This is statistic of the smoking prevalence of Thai people. You can see since 1991, the percentage of the people smoke in this country is 1 in 3 people, about 32%. You see, it's quite high, and come to 2012, it's come down to be just 24%. This is the number in the past time. We try to have the anti-tobacco activity, but the number is quite high. This is all I wanted to share to you that about the key events in tobacco control in Thailand. The first one, 1986, Action on Smoking and Health established. And 1987, nationwide petition to raise public awareness on tobacco signed by 6 million people, Thai people, 6 million to get a sign. And 1989, tobacco advertising ban by using the Consumer Protection Act. And also come to 1991, Thailand allow U.S. cigarette to enter Thailand in line with the GAP decision. This is the figure. you maybe don't know because you are internationally, but for the domestic in Thailand, all of us, we respect our good professor, good doctor. Success on the left hand of you is Professor Songkram Sapchalerm. Is quite known to doctor in Thailand. The second one is Professor Atasit Wechachiwa. Once have been the Deputy Minister of the Ministry of Public Health, you see. And Dr. Hathai Shithanon to be the one who have APACT the first time in Chiang Mai, Thailand. And the blue shirt, everyone know her, Professor Somsi Pausawat. She was a big supporter for the anti-tobacco. And also your right hand, wow, everyone know, Professor Pakit Wati Satokit, actively champion for the anti-tobacco, always in Thailand. So there are so many activities from the past, decade for the Thailand activity. And they have a lot, We have Tobacco Product Control Act. We have Sport Commission reject to tobacco industry. We have the first significant increase in tobacco tax. Tobacco tax is quite a good, activity and accepted, for the known that for the anti-tobacco activity. And the new health warning on 30% of the upper area of the packs introduced in 1998. And also tax increase again in 1999 to 71.5% of the retail price of cigarettes. And in July 4, 2017, the Tobacco Products Control Act, this is the review one, is the primary piece of legislation governing tobacco control in Thailand. Because we have 10 million people of Thai people sign together, try to have this act to implement in our Thai society. It's a big success. So this is milestone. I would like to summarize for you. I speak NGO focal point for tobacco control, National Committee for Tobacco Control, Tobacco Control Office, we have it. Tobacco Product Control Act, Non-Smoker Health Protection Act, Increasing Tax for Health Policy, Health Promotion Foundation Act. This is a big support of the budget. Traffic Health Warning, ban point for sale display for cigarette pack, ban tobacco company, 100% smoke-free public and workplaces. Yes. Earmark, the tobacco tax is a pro-poor policy. Success story for Thailand. Health Promotion Foundation Thai Health set up in 2001 by the government, receiving 2% of the total revenue from alcohol and tobacco. Act as a catalyst and support group and organization already working on public health. So, Thai Health is a big supporter for the anti-tobacco activity in Thailand. We inspire neighboring country, Mongolia, adopt the same structure and receive technical assistance from Thai Health in the process of setting up this policy. So, my summaries of the past decade, during the past 30 years, the intervention, we implement best buys policy, raise tobacco tax, ban tobacco advertising, ban tobacco use in building, enforce warning picture on packages. This is our best buy policies. We also have adopted Empower and the Virtual Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, or to have this measure or have happened in our anti-tobacco activities in Thailand. The next one is present time. I would like to show you what we have done in this present time for the tobacco control. I just show you that. This is the statistics start first, to show you that since last time I show you, from 32 down to 23%. You can see that present time, since 2013 to 2021 this year, the figures come down from 23 to 17.4% this year. It's quite a good, a good progress. But still, we would like to say that we need to put more effort to have this number come down again. I will tell you again in the future part what number do Thailand want to end up. I will show you later. So, in this present moment of anti-tobacco in Thailand, we have 4 strategies. 1, education. Second one, awareness. The third one, compliance. The fourth one, law enforcement. I will show you in the picture that we have, a lot of alliance. A lot of alliance. This circle is composed of a lot of Thai health group, such as doctor, nursing, pharmacists, and etc. More than 20, 20 associations come together to be the Thai Physician Alliance Against Tobacco. So this is a big network. We also have the ASH, Thai ASH, we have the Quit Line, we have, the National Alliance for Tobacco Control in Thailand. We have about, the TRC, and we have CIACA, and so many networks work together. So we exhibit a lot of networks, such as clinic for smoking cessation. We call in Thai name Fa Sai, is meaning clear sky, no smoke. Now, it's more than 560 clinics now. We have the proposal of an HSO training center. 30 centers scattered around Thai. Women Alliance for Tobacco Free. We have clinical practice guidelines. We have National Alliance for Tobacco Free Thailand. We have Smoke Free Hospital. We have Smoke Free University. So, we have more than 700 organizations together to support, for the anti-tobacco activity. So this picture again, Professor Somsi Pausawat is the one who tried to back up all the alliance together, try to push more, effort in anti-tobacco. You see, there's so many activities. We have on the state, with the minister. We have on the state with the policy maker, and we also have the network more and more come together to put more effort on anti-tobacco. And we also have the knowledge, sharing. About 1 year, we have the one big, conference. You see, just last 3 years ago, we have about the tobacco and lung health, from the TRC. They're gathering more than 600 people for Thai to join together to share their knowledge, and their experiences for the tobacco control. And highlight, for the control policy. We have the Tobacco Product Control Act, I've told you before. You can see from the right side, it is in the parliament. All the representatives, they give their agreement on this act, or no one confuse or reject this act. So it passed totally 100%. So you see, this is the power of the people. 10 million Thai people signed together to support this. We have the smoke-free beach. We have the plain packaging. The one on the picture on the plain packaging is, Professor Dr. Kongsakon is our former Minister of Public Health. And we also have the representative, from, the visual regional to support the plain packaging activity in Thailand. And also, we have met the policy maker. The left side of you can see that the middle, is the Minister of Public Health, the former the Minister of Public Health. And you see Professor Somsi, and you see Professor Dr. Ronnachai. Join together. I also on the back because I'm the young one. Together to give our, points of view how to control the tobacco control in Thailand. And we also have Professor Pakit, try to have the raising tax to give to the policy maker. And we have now, this is the present Minister of Public Health. You can see that he just have the activity with us, to anti-tobacco. There's so much, and about the e-cigarette is a big issue now. So we have, the knowledge sharing about the problem of the e-cigarette in Thailand. You can see we quite, very straightforward for this e-cigarette in Thailand because it comes to very hazardous and very pressure on the problem of smoking in Thailand now. So this is our annual meeting of TRC, and we have, the media, sharing, how to have the tobacco-free Thailand. So e-cigarette is a big problem. I will give you some point that it. Everyone know from our problem that this is a new problem of smoking, the new form, the new wave. You see, Back to the Future, you can see that the smoking, they use this kind of thing, try to convince people to use the cigarette. So many. And now, they use the same strategy to billboard, you see. Try to attract people to use it. You can see that this is the market share for the e-cigarette. You see, a big problem. And we have noticed that this is a big problem. E-Wali is a big problem. You see, I want to start a no vaping campaign. After she showed this sign, she did. Yep. So also, e-cigarette put the environment at risk. You see, this is a big problem. I also have met with the former president of the American Medical Association, Dr. Practice A. Harris. She also a psychiatrist. I met with her. And we have tobacco control in Thailand try to say about the e-cigarette, the big, health issue in Thailand. You see, we all together, Professor Pakit, Kun Bang On, and all representatives from the WHO, and we have also so many people together try to give this message to Thai people. So, in Thailand, we reject e-cig and IQOS by law. You see, by law, it's prohibited. But it's still a lot of e-cig come into the market, so much. So we need to have the law enforcement. You can see from the picture that we have so many times tried to, cut down, you see, because we have research about the e-cig, quite a big health issue. And finally, we got our Prime Minister to say that Prime Minister don't review about the prohibited of e-cig. This is a policy maker have their point of view on e-cig. So it's quite strong about the prohibit e-cig in Thailand. So we have support information to the Office of the Consumer Protection Board. And we have this is give to the Ministry of Commerce, to have their point of view of e-cig is prohibited in Thailand. So smoking, vaping, COVID-19 is a big issue in this present time. We know that COVID-19 is pandemic. We have a lot of people die from this pandemic. But also smoking. Smoking is one point of view that we have our evidence base that it will have more severity with the smoker when they got COVID-19. So we have so many knowledge. We try to use this period to be the opportunity for anti-tobacco. You see, because COVID-19, their main organ to attack is lung, the same as smoking. And smoking, they have some point to make, the severity of the disease more severe. We use a number 14 times than people without smoking. This is the opportunity. We have used this for anti-tobacco. And The last part I would like to say to you about 10 minutes is the future tobacco control. What will be happen in the next 10 years? So now it comes to the figure I've shown you about 17. Okay, 17 this year. Okay, 4 years ago is 19.1. Now it's 70.4. So if we like to have this figure to come down, we need to have more. I have told you before, the number or the target of tobacco control in Thailand, we have one target together, is 15% by the year 2025. So from now on, it's about 4 years from now on to be 15%. With this figure, we try to have empower to implement more. Empower is a big, tool for us. We try to have this measure to be done in our country. Try to have this kind of activity to support from empower. And we know that the official 9 NCD targets also want to be achieved by 2025. So this is the figure of 15 come from this 30% relative reduction in prevalence of current tobacco use. So we try to work together with the non-communicable disease, association, and also experts in NCD. We try to come together. So we have challenges for Thailand to control tobacco use in the future. The first one, control e-cigarette use among teenagers. The second one, tobacco tax for low-cost tobacco products. The third one, implementation of cost-effective intervention to help people quit smoking. The fourth one, strengthening the implementation of several measures for the provincial level. The fifth one, ban sponsorship to all universities and monitor tobacco industry interference. The final one, find new ways to convey danger of tobacco use to the new generation. I would like to put it together in one picture for my idea. If we want to have the future trend of the smoking number in Thailand to come down, we need to have the scientific evidence. We need to have the public awareness. We need to have the international support. We need to have the intergovernmental work. We need to have the political will. Political will is a very big issue in Thailand now because our network, we have analyzed together and we say that this is 5 factor links. The weakest link is political will. So now we try our best to working together to curb the tobacco epidemic. By summary, tobacco is the number 1 non-communicable disease risk factors. A cooperative, integrated approach is needed for tobacco control to prevent disease. Knowledge center to provide evidence and to have the best for the best policy driven. I'm very happy and thanks for APACT to have APACT 30th happen in Thailand this year. And this is the one I would like to notice in the anti-tobacco activity in Thailand. Because APACT is more than a regional forum for the knowledge sharing and academic collaborating on the tobacco control. It reflects the friendship among us, even in the very difficult time, COVID-19. Knowing is not enough. We must apply. Willing is not enough. We must do. Please join together for tobacco-free generation. So, my finally figure for you. For the past, present, future, I also give my word. Tobacco threatens us all. Thank you for your attention. สวัสดีครับ
Many thanks to Dr. Ronnachai for an excellent, a splendid opening to this conference. And as in the tradition of opening plenaries, there will be no questions either written or from the floor. But I think, allow me to say that Dr. Ronnachai's talk has given great credit to Thailand for the enormous efforts it's made in tobacco control. And I think his talk has shown very clearly that it involves a huge combination of work by the Thai government, and indeed showing that many ministries are involved. This is not just the Ministry of Health, there's many ministries involved. NGOs, academia, and in fact with international support. And I was very pleased to hear the history of the highly respected doctors of Thai and Pakistan and the role that they have played over decades, many decades in Thailand, in getting to the position that Thailand is now. So I would also like to give respect and great credit to the two grandfathers of tobacco control in Thailand. And it must be very pleasing to see all the efforts coming to fruition and it being such a team effort involving Thai health, involving much legislation, regulations, legislation, and indeed the smoking rate coming down. So I think we do need, as Dr. Ronnachai did, to pay great tribute to the grandfathers of tobacco control in Thailand. I also think that Dr. Ronnachai's talk very clearly showed how, in fact, we heard the history of Thailand, but we also understand there's a shared problem throughout the whole Asia-Pacific region. Every country is struggling with getting taxation in place, getting legislation in place, dealing with the tobacco industry, dealing with the lack of political will. E-cigarettes is but a good example how every country is suddenly faced with a new challenge and having to try and get on top of that challenge and to regulate it. So from that point of view, APACT does act, as he said, as a great focus of bringing the different countries in Asia together and to work on these problems jointly. Problem shared is a problem halved, and I think that's very relevant to this whole issue of tobacco control, and which is what makes APACT such a relevant organisation, because it's like a family, and that we can get together and share our problems. And I think almost everything that Dr. Ronnachai said in his talk has been experienced, all the setbacks and the difficulties, and much of the work done has been shared by many countries in Asia. I think Thailand, credit must also go to other organisations in Thailand, based in Thailand, like APACT, because they again have risen to the challenge of this being a shared problem and a need to share information between organisations and countries. That's the Southeast Asia Tobacco Control Association, run from Thailand by Room1 and colleagues there. So I think Thailand has done a terrific job in terms of trying to bring the various countries in Asia really together. I think the future, the vision of the future and the target, in a sense, of bringing the rates down, 15% by 2025 for Thailand, but other countries, many other countries in the region have also set percentage goals. And I think it's really important for countries to do this, to set some kind of strategic target and give a date to it. And in fact, even as Malaysia has done, to do interim targets and how much they would achieve by a certain time. I think it's very useful. Now, governments in general don't like targets, just in case they can't meet them. But I think it adds a focus to what we're trying to do. It shows us that this problem can be solved and we can bring these down. It emboldens us to think about a time when we might have a smoke-free world. And I think it's very important for countries to try and do this. And the other big advantage of setting a target like Thailand has done, is that then you are not forever, year by year, struggling to, for example, lobby a Minister of Finance to get a tax increase. If it is laid down for the next 10 years, what the tax situation will be and how much that is expected to bring down the prevalence in a certain country, then you're not having to struggle and use an enormous amount of energy, as we found in Hong Kong, an enormous amount of energy trying to get a tax increase year by year. It's much more difficult. So the idea of setting a target, as Thailand has done, I think is really a very good idea for all of us to consider. And I know that taxation will be discussed later in the conference. The only other thing that I would add to what Dr. Ronnachai has said is to really, we need to consider tobacco industry interference. Now, the SIATCA has put together yearly at the moment an atlas, the Tobacco Industry Interference Index, and a special one for Asia and a special one for SIATCA, just showing how so much of our effort is being undermined and delayed and negated by the tobacco industry in so many ways, in so many countries. The surprising thing is how these tactics are so similar between countries, and therefore what we need to do about them is also similar between us. We can share experiences there. And in fact, the Bloomberg family has set up a STOP project involving Thailand, involving Bath University, and involving Vital Strategies based in the US, to try and act as a sort of global coordinator of the way that the tobacco industry is trying to behave. And I think unless we really understand the tobacco industry and understand its tactics and its effectiveness and its effect, I don't think we'll ever really be able to get on top of this epidemic. I think we need to expose and deal with the tobacco industry as it is dealing in all of our countries to try and stop and engage all of our efforts. So I just add that and emphasize that rather from what Dr. Ronnachai has already said. So I think this has been the most wonderful opening speech to get the conference, the APACT conference off the ground. And as I said again, many congratulations to Thailand. There's been so many uncertainties with this conference that they've had to deal with. Would it be in 2020? Would it be in 2021? What form would it take? You know, would it work? And I think, you know, I'm really hoping that this conference will show that we can rise to the challenges, not just of tobacco control and not just of the tobacco industry, but we can rise to the challenges of COVID as well. So with that, I would like to close this first session. We'll have a break of about half an hour before we move on to the next session, which is the David Yen Memorial Lecture, which will be given by Dr. Simon Chapman, starting at approximately 15 minutes after the hour. So thank you very much indeed, everybody, for attending this first open session, and look forward to the rest of the conference. Thank you very much, and thank you, Dr. Chapman. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Judith, for your comment. And I think that in Thailand right now, we are doing our utmost effort to protect our health for our citizens. And we have been organized with collaboration with many organizations, including the government and non-government organizations. We also have a lot of volunteers in the village to give the education to our people in the village to stop smoking, and we educate people about the risk of the material in the tobacco leaves and also in the nicotine hazard to health in the electronic cigarette and the heat not burn. But still in Thailand we are with the effort of fighting with this health hazard, we still have some problem because until now we have 10.7 million population in smoking above 15 years of age. But we are trying to reduce that down in the future, and we expected to reach about 9 million in 5 years. That is our expectation, but it still needs a lot of effort. I think this is a problem not just in Thailand, but it's all over the world, because cigarette smoking is an addiction. So it's very difficult to stop people from this kind of addiction, and it had been in this world for 500 years now, starting from fashion, but now right now we are becoming it's a marketing influence of the tobacco industry to give a wrong message to our young people. So this is a reason why we have to be very active on this smoking cessation program in Thailand. And I think that even in Thailand we are very strong effort, but still we need the several assistance from both from the government and the non-government agency, because of the marketing website. They spend a lot of money on this the website and ICT, and also the channel that can get very close to our younger generation. We are having the law, the tobacco control law in Thailand right now from 2007, and this is effective right now. But still, the enforcement is not strong enough, I must say. So we still have the black market of the e-cigarette around the country, and the younger generation can access to this e-cigarette. There is a question come to me that in Thailand we have the law and we have the ban cigarette, the e-cigarette banning. Is it working in Thailand? I must say that legally we are accepted in the new law, prohibited the e-cigarette to come to this country. Even the sale or purchase in the country is illegal, but still we have the problem with the enforcement, and people make money with this kind of purchasing e-cigarette, and we are trying our younger generation to stop smoking, and the smoking cannot be sold to children or young people under 20, and the seller of the cigarette must be above 18 years of old, passenger age. So that's in the law already, but still we need more stringent enforcement of the law. We are trying to tell the government and the people who are authorized on this issue that we need their help to help us, because as the non-governmental society, we cannot issue the law by ourselves, but we need the parliament and also the government to raise this issue and make it a main concern of the country, actually. And I think that this is not just in our country or our region, but it is all over the world. And the influence of the money influence and then the budget influence of the money industry is really big. They spend a lot of money. I know that even one big tobacco company can have the marketing budget more than the budget of Thailand as a whole in the whole year. So they hire people, they hire medias, they have so many tricks on this advertising tobacco and the new products, both e-cigarette and heat-not-burn cigarette. But we need collaboration from the people of the country. I think that understanding among the people in the country about the risk and hazard of the tobacco to health is the most important. So we have to give education. We have to educate the people in the country to stop once the demand is negative, so the supply cannot grow. We need to stop the demand first, and then the supply will be unsuccessful. So that's my idea. How's yours?
Well, I think what your talk has also shown is that there is no quick fix. We've been doing tobacco control now since the 1960s, and in fact, with more credit to Asia, the first national laws on tobacco were passed in Singapore in 1970, when they did a ban on smoking in they created smoke-free areas, and they banned advertising as we knew it then. So, Singapore was the first to actually really try and take on this whole issue by legislation. So we've been at it for 70 years now, and possibly more. So I think there is no quick fix. But on the other hand, if we remember, even the communicable diseases, it has taken us a good 100 years between understanding, for example, the origins of smallpox and being able to eradicate it. And with many other diseases like malaria, TB, many of the infectious diseases, we still are nowhere near trying to eradicate those. So public health is not a quick fix. It requires an awful lot of dedication and long-term work. And it looks to me as if the non-communicable diseases are going down the same route. We know the problems of smoking, we know the problems of obesity, but I suspect it's going to be really quite a long time before we get on top of any of these in terms of a meaningful public health way. That's not to say we shouldn't try it and do it, but I think we can't expect things to happen just overnight. So I think we're all in it for the long term, and I'm frequently saying that I'm going to be working until I'm 100 years old. And I think that looks a little bit like the old true. Because the problem is, even if we bring the prevalence down in countries, we are left with an expanding global population. So even if the percentage of smokers comes down, the population is going up. And the forecasts are that there will be more smokers in the world by 2040, 2050 because of that population rise. So simply the more numbers of smokers in the future than there are today, which is a daunting thought. So I think, we are in it for a very long term. But I think, on the other hand, to be quite positive about this, I think the last century health got sidetracked by anesthesia and surgery and antibiotics. It got sidetracked into curative medicine for about 100 years. And I think we are realizing this century that this will never improve public health. No matter how much we have of those three things, and no matter how accessible they are to many countries, that this will not make the difference to public health. It has got to be prevention, and it's got to be particularly, I think, tobacco control comes top of that list. Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Judith. And that's very true, absolutely. There are some questions from the audience here. From Malaysia, they ask, is the Thai government very supportive to stop smoking activities, including law enforcement? As the workers in the smoking cessation program, I would say that the government is trying, is all right for the supportive to the stop smoking activity, but because of the intrusion of the tobacco industry, especially from outside the country, from the the tobacco industry from outside, they are trying to to be very influential in the even in the parliament. They try to create a group of people to support them, especially for those who get addicted already. So they form a group of people and try to make voice in the community, in the public, that why we ban the electric cigarette, e-cigarette, because if we allow them to be in the country, we will get more money from taxes. So that's a very tricky word for the government, because the government need to find more money for taxes to spend, but we need to think about health as a prime, because unhealthy people cannot make money. Unhealthy people, bedridden, disease by tobacco related, cannot make money to themselves, and then they cannot pay tax. So that's one of the reasons that why we get less taxes. So this is the thing that I must say, that the Thai government is supportive, yes, but they cannot do anything much because of the influence from the tobacco industry as well. And there are a question from Ulysses, yes. More attention is needed for the supply side. You considering restriction the number, location of retailer? Yes, we are doing. We are trying to give the consultation to the government that we should reduce the retailers. And but when they said about the health, we as the medical profession, we talk about health, but the Ministry of Finance, they are also thinking about the money, the income of the country by taxes as well. So this is a problem that we are controversy.
Yes, and I would just add to that there are schemes in Asia looking at, for example, alternative crops, and there's been reports written in China showing that the farmers do much better growing other things than tobacco, which is a report that's really worth its weight in gold to tobacco advocates. And Indonesia is also looking into this whole question of offering the farmers a different livelihood. And I think it's very appropriate that we end this session talking about economics, because economics is what governments listen to, much more than actually the health evidence. They listen to the economics. And the reality is with tobacco control is that it's good for the economy as well as for health. And if you add in all the debit costs of tobacco, and these are, as Ronnachai said, these include people not being able to work, not being able to pay tax, but they include all the healthcare costs. They include things like all the rubbish, the lapsap, as we say in Hong Kong, fires caused by careless smoking breaks, all of that. And if we look at what the costs will be of non-communicable diseases in the future if we don't do something, then the economics is actually on our side. So I think it's very important that we get across to governments while we're trying to encourage them to implement the same sort of programs that Thailand has done. Very important to get across. It's not tobacco or health or wealth. It's actually health and wealth. They go hand in hand when we look at tobacco control. So I think it's very appropriate that we're finishing off on an economics note.
Yes, thank you very much. I think we are running out of the time, and we will have 15 minutes break from now, and we'll start the session again at 10:15. Is that right? On the subject of the COVID Yen Memorial Lecture, and will be presented by Simon Chapman, and you will be the moderator, the next moderator as well. So let's get some break for 15 minutes and then come back at 10:15. Is that right? Yes, thank you very much for the audience, and thank you very much for Judith. Thank you very much. Great work. Thank you. See ya.